Sky Howdy, and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. Sorry, there's been a lag in between doing shows. Been tremendously busy here. Had a couple of scheduled outings on 2 weekends, the meet and greet on the first one, and then last weekend we were up in Coloma in the ghost town, being surrounded by Bigfoot, and yeah. So anyway, I decided that what I was going to do is I would take all the field trips, all the expeditions that I did this summer, put them all together and have guests on, people that were with me for them, to talk about the stuff that happened while we were out squatching this year. And, of course, we got video and pictures and audio captures, all sorts of stuff to share with you. So that's what's coming up there. Now, before I get on to the show, a quick note about my channel. YouTube has demonetized my entire channel, so I'm not getting paid anything for August, and, they apparently didn't feel like paying me anything for the money I earned in June either. So I'm pretty broke right now, and actually not too happy with this situation. I'm looking at setting up my own website where the show will be found in the future without third-party interference. So anyway, more updates on that will be coming along in future shows. In the meantime, if you feel like you'd like to help the cause and keep the show coming to you until I can get all this other stuff sorted out, you can always go to PayPal me, World Bigfoot Central, all one word, World Bigfoot Central, PayPal me, World Bigfoot Central, and donate anything that you feel like you're being led to donate to the cause to keep these shows coming to you, which I'm hoping everybody enjoys. And I try and keep the quality high as much as I can with the zero budget that I have currently. But anyway, on with the show. And so we start out way back in July or June. I was contacted by somebody who's a watcher, listener of the show, and has actually been on the show several times, and wanted me to come up to his neck of the woods, which is northwest of here, still in Montana though, and up by the Libby area. And they had a Sasquatch festival going on up there, so I figured that would be fun. So with that, let me bring on Grizz. Welcome back to the show, Grizz.
Hi, Duke. How you doing?
Hanging in there, buddy. I'm pretty beat up from these last couple of weeks of trying to hoof it up and down the mountains with my cane. So, I feel like I got stepped on and crushed by a Bigfoot. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. At least you can get out and breathe the air. Up here, it's a smoke you can't see across the street.
Yeah, Grizz is up there by a big bunch of the complex fires up in northwest Montana, and he's got the smoke coming in from the Canadian fires further west, so he's getting the air quality we had this time of last year, which is to say you can see about a block. And it smells like all your neighbors are having a giant barbecue all the time, except no yummy meat smell, just the burning wood smell. So
that's
anyway,
it.
Yeah. So yeah, I went up there for 5 days with you guys. The first thing that we did is we went up to the Sasquatch Festival, which is in the giant booming metropolis of the Yak.
Up to the Yak.
You guys are seeing pictures of that when you see the one with me standing there with the drainage and stuff in the background. That's sort of the downtown Yak. I'm standing in the one direction where there aren't any buildings. If you look in the other off to my left there'd be a connecting road, and then back behind the photographer, which is Grizz, there's the little one block of town, and you guys will be seeing pictures of all the stuff they had set up there. They had cutouts of different Bigfoots all over the place and stuff. So they had pictures of those, and they had little warning signs up that Bigfoot had been spotted in the Yak drainage system and reported to forestry if you see it, which apparently was a hoax, but they were fun to look at. And I got a picture of those. Yeah, forestry. Somehow that got leaked out. I don't know how, but somehow a picture of those got leaked out. And somebody else picked it up, and forestry had to actually do a statement on it saying, no, that's not real. Those aren't real postings. And so anyway, yeah. So we got up to the Yak, and we spent a couple of days there. Unfortunately, it was kind of rainy, and the turnout wasn't very big. So didn't really get a chance to talk to anybody that had actually had Bigfoot sightings. It was mostly just the hardcores that were there for the celebrations / drink beer and listen to live bands thing that was going on outdoors at the time. So we're going to kind of skip over the rest of that part, and I'm going to go right to the fun part. where we left there and we decided to do a run around your local area and see what we could find there. And we also went up to the area where you had your sighting. So you want to take her up there?
Yeah, we drove up there into the Libby Creek drainage, and that's the first time I've been up that road since I had that first encounter, which was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But, there's Mama Bear. She just goes charging off in the woods anyway.
And it had been long enough since you were there that the area had actually changed quite a bit. What had been sort of a small open field when you were there and saw it originally now had all kinds of little brush trees growing up, like 8, 10 feet tall.
Yeah, the buckbrush and other trees, it's been filling in, but that's over 20 years ago when I had my first encounter, so.
Right.
But it was fun.
And me and Mama Bear actually went up the hillside. He knew which direction it went, and there seemed to be like a still being used sort of trail there. And we went walking up there, and we got part of the ways up the mountain. Mama Bear was having fun picking wild mushrooms, and I was looking around for structures and tracks or anything. And we both heard a huge thud that somebody dropped a car out of a tree. At which point, and this was further up the mountain from us, and I went, well, we should probably head back now. So we started making our way down the mountain, and as we got down there was this kind of odd-looking, it had been cut off by humans, obviously, at some point, tree stump. And Bear noticed what I had noticed on the way up there, that there was a track right next to it, which was great for me, because it's like, well, there's confirmation he found the same thing on his own. And he went one step further and had been walking around the area while we were further up and found another track, which really didn't, wasn't worth trying to take a picture of. We had trouble getting a good picture of the track that we got, but you're probably looking at it right now. I outlined it so you guys can see basically where it was. It was, big enough, enough bigger than a human track to be obviously not a human track, but not particularly well defined. And then we took a look at the stump. How about that?
Yeah, that was weird. that was just plain strange.
Mind all these pictures you've seen. While we were up there and he found that track and documented it, he started looking at that stump, which I hadn't done. I just noticed there was a track next to it, kept walking, wanted to find more of them. And while we were up there trying to, she was gathering mushrooms and I'm looking around for other stuff, we come back down and here had a few minutes to sit there and take a look at this stump. And what did it look like? What did you think when you first saw that?
Gosh, I've never seen anything like that before. I thought at first might have been originally branches when it was a seedling or something, but, looking at the outside, there was never any branches. The bark was still around it. There was never any branches. And, it's like they'd all been sharpened.
Yeah, that's I'm sure you guys are looking at the picture, but there's like several rows of these punji stick looking spikes sticking out on the inside of this hollow stump.
Yeah. No way would I ever stick my hand down there.
No way. Neither of us even thought about trying that. That looked like way too much. You were going to get ripped up for sure. And what the hell is that? But if any of you watchers out there have ever seen anything like this, please let us know, because we're both, and I'm going to throw out a bad pun here, we're both stumped about this stump thing. Yeah, we both kind of sat there and scratched our heads for a while, and I went, we need to take pictures of this, because this is really freaking weird. So that was that little part of the trip. I don't know if you, even at this point, if you have any kind of a clue what the hell that was all about.
I have no idea. I've asked some of these old cedar beasts around here, and they haven't a clue. It was just something I've never seen in all the years I've been ghosting around these mountains. And you
got a big, extensive background of doing hunting and fishing and outfitting and leading, guiding people and all that, and you haven't seen anything like that before.
No, never. Never. Yeah, I've seen a lot of hollow stumps and stuff, but I've never seen anything like that. It's a mystery.
Yeah, it is to me too. I know we found a couple other mysterious things. There was a couple times where I saw big tangles of timber that looked like it might be constructed, but in those cases it was so steep. And Grizz will vouch for this. I'm pretty much of a mountain goat. I'll try and get to it anyway. And I actually had to bow out on a couple of them and go, nah, even if I can get down there, I'm not sure I can get back up again. So I'm not going to go check that one out. But one thing that they found while I was trying to climb down one of these embankments to get to one of these areas and unfortunately failing miserably and having to come back up again, they found something interesting lying on the road. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like somebody plucked a deer. There's a few bones there, and obviously the marrow had been taken out of them. But other than that, there was just the hair. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. As you can tell by the pictures, it looked like pretty much all the hair from the whole damn deer had been pulled out. For some reason.
I've never seen anything like that before either, ever. Neither did Mama Bear. And, we both guided and everything around here for years and never encountered anything like that. It was just plain strange. I have no explanation for it. And that it was just, we ran into a few strange things up there.
Yeah, we did. That one spot that was across from where you had your sighting, or was that the same spot? Where we camped and there was a little access to a winding river there, and it was just a little pull-out. I think like 2 or 3 cars could fit maybe in this little spot that they had off the road. And I got out and started walking around. I took a beeline, of course, and forget where the humans have been walking. I'm just going to beeline it right toward the river. I come over the top of an embankment, and there's 2, boulders there big enough that I would hurt myself trying to move them. They've been freshly flipped over, right next to the holes where they had obviously been laying for like forever. These things were, a good 18 to 20 inches across and several inches thick, and like a lot of weight to just flip over for nothing. And there's no signs of claw marks on the edge of these little pits where it had been flipped over, that like a bear had done it or something. There was no tracks of anything around there I could find. So that was peculiar, but not peculiar enough for me to photograph it. But we'll have more of that stuff coming up that was taken closer to here in a little bit. But the other thing that we found that we both totally dropped the ball on, and can you remember if this was near the same spot where we found the plucked deer hair all over the side of the road, but the missing tree, that was pretty close to
yeah,
it,
that.
wasn't it?
Well, it was about 5 miles up the road.
Okay.
And that on the loop over, and that one's a head scratcher too. That tree wasn't snapped; it was twisted and broke.
And gone.
Gone. Just gone. I mean,
we're road squatching just to set the mood for everybody here. What was going on is it was kind of a rainy day, and we were just driving down the road because there's huge areas out there you can drive around. Nobody ever hardly drives there, and nobody going in there except in hunt season pretty much. So we figured we'd do some road squatching and see if we could see structures from the road or anything. And went by this one area and noticed an unusual amount of timber had been knocked down in this one area. So we got out and I went walking up there, and I was going to try and go in, but man, it was like all these trees were really big, and they were knocked down in such a way that you had to either clamber over or get down on all fours and go underneath. You just couldn't step over. It was all the big trees in this area were too big for that. And it looked like it went back at least, like a football field length pretty much in every direction from the road. So I was not like into the idea of trying to clamber over all that stuff. And I turn around, I was coming back to the road, and I see this stump. And it's not that far from the road. You could basically see it from the road. And it was like maybe 2.5 feet tall and about 10 inches to a foot thick, and clearly had been twist snapped. And the thing that got me, I
Right.
stood there and looked at it for a minute and went, what's wrong with the scene? And then I realized that there's these little thin, incredibly easy to break, little dried up bushes all the way around this stump. And there was no tree there. That tree was gone.
Yeah.
It had never hit the ground, because if it had fallen in any direction, it would have taken out some of this stuff. So, like, literally something twist-snapped this tree off and walked off with it.
Right. Because you would have seen it just because of the way it was broken. And like a fool, I forgot to take pictures of it, and I haven't been able to get back up in that area and get a picture. I will be going up there as soon as the smoke clears.
Yeah, right on. Well, hopefully we'll have that in the near future, too, and we can show that in some future show, or I can put it on the channel and update everybody with it, because that was just, you know, I found a lot of weird Bigfoot signs before, but a whole missing tree. And, you know, clearly there was no heavy equipment at work here, because this wasn't snapped off, you know, by humans or heavy equipment. There was no signs any heavy equipment had ever been near it. There wasn't even any tracks going to it. You kind of had to push through a little bit of a thicket to even get to it.
Right. And it's just like something really big reached down and just twisted it till it broke and then walked off with it. And it was a pretty hefty hunk of wood there, you know, but the rest of the tree just gone. It's just not anywhere to be seen. You and I looked all around for it.
I know, and that's the thing that blew me away, because it's like, well, you know, let's assume something really weird happened. Lightning hit it almost down by the base of the trunk, and the force of the lightning snapped the tree off, and it fell over. Well, where the hell's a tree?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the clincher. It's something I've never seen before. I mean, we were seeing stuff, you know, that just out there, and you know, where's the rest of the tree?
Yeah, exactly. That was my reaction. And I apologize to everybody right now. Usually, I always make sure I get everything documented. And honestly, we were both just so stunned looking at this thing that it never even occurred to us that neither one of us took a picture of it.
Yeah. The big camera was still in the rig, but I did have my phone. I could have taken a picture of it, but it was just like, whoa, this is strange.
I know.
Never thought about it.
Yeah, this is another good example when people always go, well, if you saw a Bigfoot, why didn't you take a picture of it? Because you're busy being stunned. This wasn't even a Bigfoot. This was just an anomalously weird missing tree. So you got all day to sit there and stare at it, and we're still so busy being shocked, neither one of us thought, oh, we should take a picture too.
Yeah. I mean, it would have taken a couple of seconds to get a couple of pictures, and it was just like, this makes no sense whatsoever. And we were busy looking for the rest of the tree that just was not anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, even the thing is, even if it had fallen toward the road, so it was an impediment to progress, and they had to come into the crew and move it or something, it would have done damage to the little, you know, dried up old ancient twiggy bushes around it. It would have done something to them when it fell across them. It didn't go that way.
Right. It was just like something came in, twisted it off, and walked off with it. And
and that was really creepy too, because you look at something that big, you know, again, we're talking like 10 inches to a foot thick. That's a whole tree.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and you know, you couldn't even get heavy equipment in there. It's so thick, and all the blow down and stuff around, and I never seen anything like that one either. And you know, I've seen a lot of blow down. I've walked through it, and you know, it's just part of the forest.
Sure.
And I've never seen anything like that. Normally, when you get blow down, it pulls them out by the roots or busts them off halfway up, and that. But it's a clean break. It's not a twist. That was definitely twisted. It's kind of spooky.
And the other thing is too, even like you just mentioned, and rightfully and wisely so, if nature gets it, if it's that low to the ground, it's going to uproot the tree. It's going to pull the roots up and the whole tree will flop over. The breaks you usually see are part way up where the canopy has got enough wind resistance to make so that it'll actually snap the tree in half rather than uprooting it. And then you get the break quite a ways up. It doesn't happen like 2 feet off the ground. And it definitely doesn't twist it and make the tree disappear.
Right.
And you can't use tornado as an excuse because there's perfectly intact, all these pitiful little dried up bushes, all this other stuff that sure as hell would have come out at the same time if not before that tree had. So there's no way that could have caused it either.
Yeah, and the thing was, it was pretty fresh.
Yeah, that was the other thing that was disconcerting about it. It wasn't old wood. This has been like recently done. I was like looking over my shoulder nervously a few times while we were there staring at it.
Yeah, I don't want to meet whatever did that.
Yeah, for sure. That's the short version. Whether it's a really big squatch or the local mountain giant, either way, I don't want to meet them. So, wow. And then what else did we have happen? Is there anything I'm forgetting?
Actually, that was about it. We had some fun. You got to do a yak attack, so you've got a yak badge of honor now. You've done a yak attack.
All right. I'll put that in my trophy case along with my other medals of honor for being crazy mountain man that actually does Bigfoot shows. Yeah, I was really impressed with the area. There's so much land up there and so few people that, there has to be Bigfoot around, and we found enough evidence, and we found a track, and yada, yada, yada,
I was surprised with that track. That's the first track I've ever seen up here, and I just happened to glance it, and I really wasn't quite sure. So when you come down, that's why I brought it to your attention. I mean, the picture doesn't do it justice because you could actually see the big toe and all that stuff. And the boots that we used, your boots, are what, 12 inches?
Yep. And you can see it's substantially bigger than my foot next to it.
Yeah, and it was so wide. And, it had to be heavy enough to go in through the forest snap to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was...
Yeah, and we weren't making any marks standing next to it either, so our little, 200-pound weight was insufficient to even leave a mark of any kind on the forest floor.
Right.
You got this big indent where something obviously way heavier than us stepped there.
Yeah, I mean, that to me was pretty neat. It really was. I mean, we learned so much from you being up here. You really did teach us a lot. And
well, the other thing that impressed me is that you found another track a little bit further up the hill from there. And again, like I said previously, wasn't good enough quality to photograph. But you weren't just standing around. You were looking around, and sure enough, you found another one, same size, going the same direction up the mountain. And again, we're on the path that the Bigfoot that you had seen 20 years previously was following. That's what we did. We went up the same direction. And there's all kinds of signs that, they've still been using that as a travel route.
Yeah, they're still up there. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, but you got a chance to see how vast it is up here.
Oh, yeah. The other thing that impressed me is that it doesn't look like around here. We've got, forest and everything, but the climate here is drier than it is right up there where you guys are at, and some of it looked like the Pacific Northwest. There's giant canopies of trees. It's raining out in the open. You walk underneath the trees, it's not raining anymore. Ferns on the ground, moss hanging from the trees. Looks like all the pictures that you guys have all seen from the rainforest in the Pacific Northwest, and that's really what it looks like. And, I was kind of impressed by that. I didn't know there was any forest like that actually in Montana. We're like really close to it, but I didn't know there was any of it actually in Montana. These are old growth original trees, haven't been logged out in this area, so really impressively huge, A Bigfoot with 4-foot wide shoulders could easily stand behind one of these trees and you wouldn't see him.
Right, I wonder sometimes how many times I've watched me and the mama bear go right on by.
Yeah, I know.
Never noticed. it's a whole new new show for us, I'll tell you. And we really haven't had, with the smoke and all that stuff, been able to get outside all that much. And that, hopefully this rain, if it comes in today, it'll clear things out, and then we can get back out and go poke around the woods a little bit. And
right on.
Now we know what we're looking at. My attitude is, live, let live, and that. But at least when we see these structures and that, we'll know why, what put them there. Yeah, that's opened our eyes. Like I said, you taught us a lot, and being retired totally now, it gives us both something to go out and do. And
well, yeah, and you're lucky too, because where you're at up there, you don't have to hardly drive 3-4 miles out of town, and you got areas that easily could have Bigfoot active in them. So you don't have to drive long distances to go looking around for it.
Oh yeah, it's you slip out of town and there you are. I'm sure there's been a few that have waltzed through town during the dark.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, as much of a giant metropolis as Libya is, there really aren't any suburbs.
Yeah.
As soon as you're outside town, it's kind of like there's no more buildings. There's no houses. Wait a minute, where'd everybody go? Oh, man. Well, I got to thank you guys for bringing me up there and showing me that part of the state. I really had a great time up there. And even though
you're more than welcome.
the weather wasn't the best the first couple of days we were there, but after that it got pretty nice. And I just had a great time seeing all the sights and hanging out with you two guys. And I want to also thank you for help on the technical end on this side. Grizz has been working with me to get a new computer up and running here so I can start using some better stuff here and putting a better quality show together for you guys. So don't forget to thank Grizz in the comments if you want on the show. And I hope you don't mind that I mentioned that you're actually having some health issues right now, and I'd like everybody to pray for Grizz. If you believe in the power of prayer, he could use some. Please pray for him.
I sure could.
All righty, good. Because I want to keep you around. I want to have you on some future shows here. And,
Well, maybe I'll have some more information for you.
Well, there you go. And now if the state quits burning down over there, you'll be able to get out and do some more stuff here for a couple months before it gets to be too snow-covered to do anything. So I'm hoping that happens for you here. You're getting the same thing we had last summer. We couldn't go out and do any squats or anything for 2 months because the dang state was burning down around here.
Right. That's Montana. Sit around going, is it summer yet? Is it summer yet? And yay, it's warm outside. Then the forest blows up.
Yeah, we don't have mosquito season. We got forest fire season. That's what goes on here.
Yeah. Forest blows up and then it snows.
And then it snows and puts it out. And it's winter again. Yay.
Right.
Montana 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, fire season.
Right. And I'm looking forward to you getting your website up, and I certainly hope your listeners will, kind of contribute so you can get that up and flying, because I think once you got that done, the sky won't even be the limit. I just think that everybody likes your show, and you'll be able to do more, and we'll be able to learn more. So
I just wanted to, again, like publicly and personally, thank you for the help that you've been giving me and for dragging me up there to see your neck of the woods, man. I really loved that. That was really cool. So
you're more than welcome.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on the show yet again, and hopefully we'll have you on again in the future when there's more stuff to talk about.
All righty. Well, we'll be out exploring as soon as smoke gets out of the way and my lungs can take it.
I know you will be, and I know you're serious, because these guys actually bought themselves an older Jeep this year so that they could do exactly that. So they're really serious about it. They're going to be out there doing some more poking around and seeing what they can find, and I have every confidence that they are going to be finding some stuff. So we'll be hearing from Grizz in the future. I pretty much guarantee that. So anyway, thanks again for being on the show, buddy, and we're going to get on to the next guest, Shane from Washington, and he was a listener, watcher of the show, and couldn't make it for the meet and greet, but wanted to get out and do some squatching this summer. So he contacted me and practically had to beg and plead to get me to let him to go along. And he went on the Coloma trip with me. And the main reason I didn't have that open to the public just because that place is so damn dangerous, and I don't want to be responsible for anybody that hasn't been in dangerous places before. So, but he convinced me with his background that he could definitely handle it. So I invited him to come along, and with that, let me bring Shane on. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
All right. How are you doing, dude?
Oh, I'm doing better.
Yeah.
I'm doing better. I'm slowly recovering from all the beating I took the last couple of weekends.
I know. Sleeping on the ground really sucks. It's bad for
yeah.
the back.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I feel like Bigfoot stomped on me even though he didn't.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I want to thank you for taking me out there. I mean, it was an experience. It was my first Squatch trip, and I'm surprised with all the activity that we're able to hear and all the prints that we're able to see. It was crazy. Should I just start talking about Friday when we got up there?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just start there, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was kind of careful about wanting to take anybody with to that place. It isn't because the other places that we went the previous weekend weren't active. They are. It's just that Coloma is not only active, but it's like they live there. They don't wander through there occasionally. They've lived there, I think. And the place is haunted on top of it. So it's really, like a pretty dangerous place to be for, people that haven't been in dangerous situations before. So I was pretty reluctant to bring much of anybody along with me on this one. I had two people talk me into it.
Yeah, well, as far as all the noise that we heard in the brush, it was bigger than deer. I know that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, up there you got two options. Either it's a nocturnal cow or it's Bigfoot. That's pretty much it. There's not much of anything else that size that could be wandering around up there.
No. But yeah, we got up there on Friday. Everything was just set up camp, and it was pretty calm. We ate and then sat around the portable campfire because it couldn't burn. We had the propane.
Yeah, and that was another dimension of the creepiness there, folks. We're under a burning ban, so we couldn't have a campfire. So the two of us are camped in the middle of a ghost town that's infested with Bigfoot in the dark, essentially.
Yeah, with only the glow showing on one side of the campsite too. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, so we're able to hear just some crashing, just some movement in the brush, further away from us that first night, but nothing really big happening, I guess. But it still was the creep factor was up there. That was
for sure. Yeah. And just to let everybody know, if you've seen the previous Coloma videos, we camped in exactly the same spot where I was previously. The truck was a little bit closer to the road than Researcher X's SUV was, and my tent was in pretty much exactly the same spot as where I had it shaken 3 years before. So I knew in that position where they were going to sneak up on us, and it was on top of the big slag heap to our, what would it be from there, north, and then the hillside to our south.
Yeah. So we're kind of
that was where they. Right, we're sort of in a little hollow down in between the two of them, right on the Richie Rich part of town. Apparently, some of the buildings are still standing, partially anyway. But yeah, that was where they were at last time when we were up there for 4 days. That's where we kept hearing noise, and where they were keeping an eye on us, and they just pretty much duplicated that behavior when you and me were up there Friday night. And it was pretty quiet, there wasn't a whole lot of other background noise, so you could hear it pretty clear when there was something moving around.
Oh, you could. And the thing it was is night noises. It was just seemed just quiet. Just quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Oh God, yeah, it was quiet as a ghost town.
Yeah. So that was the other thing. Hearing something big, creeping around in the brushes out beyond. The second night, the other guys got there. That was we had more activity. We got out and we were walking around, and at dusk there, at late afternoon and dusk, we saw all kinds of prints and trackways. We also found possible structures. Well,
yeah, you and me found a couple of trackways during the course of the day before they showed up. But the suck thing about it was, even though we followed them a long way, there was no discernible imprints that you could see.
Yeah.
It wasn't a cow path, and it was too wide to be a deer trail, and there wasn't any deer or elk scat on it, and it was all mushed down, but there was nothing you could actually go, okay, that's a print right there. Just here's this weird path of what's been making this, So that kind of irritated me, because usually when I find something like that on a hillside, there'll be a print on it somewhere. So I knew what I was looking at, but we couldn't find a damn print to save our lives. And then the other guys showed up at 5:30, and within an hour of getting there, they're finding prints all over the place.
Yeah, it was. I'm being somewhat new to it. I've seen some prints, impressions.
Yeah.
But as far as
we had I shouldn't say that we got totally skunked. We had some maybes. We didn't have anything that was good enough to photograph and go, okay, for sure that's a print. It was maybe. Those ones are always kind of irritating, because it's why didn't you step a little harder? Leave a better print for us, damn it. You found an interesting thing during the day too. We came around. You came around one side of one of the old ruined log houses there, and said, "Hey, check this out." And I came walking. I was going up the other side, and came in through the doorway of the collapsed building, and walked over to where you were. And there were two nice big. What would you say about the size of a plum or something, or maybe
about the size of a plum, the other about the size of a good-sized apple.
Yeah, two perfect chunks of quartz laying there, and this whole town had short quartz chunks strewn all over the place. And we know there's a connection between Bigfoot and quartz, so there's your other connection for you. And then in the morning again, before the guys showed up, I wanted to mention this, because this one kind of really got me. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was making my way back from the cliff face, and you were over working on the truck. You got the hood open, and you were reconnecting the battery on it. And from way past where you were, all of a sudden I heard two really loud, clear as, anything, wood knocks. And I said, "Hey, did you hear that?" And you went, "Yeah, I did." And that really got me. It's wait a minute, it's 10 o'clock in the dang morning, and there's wood knocking at us? Seriously?
Yeah, at least there wasn't a rock clacking or rocks being thrown at us. I was
yeah, well, that would have sucked. Well, as it turned out, then that evening after everybody got there and it got dark, we were all gathered together, and Jeff had his EMF meter going, just sitting there on the ground, and that thing was going off quite a bit. Unfortunately, we didn't film any of it. We were just kind of busy being stunned like the last time when I was up there and it happened, and I just stared at it for about 20 seconds before I realized I had a camera and I should be filming it.
The EM meter is going absolutely insane.
Is there anyone here with us right now? Can you tell us your name? Where are you from? How many are here with us tonight? How old are you? What year is it? Can you tell me who the president is? What do you want? You can use this to talk to us. Did you work in the mine?
Wow.
Was that a yes? Did you turn off my EMF meter because you were answering my question? If so, can you turn it off again? On the count of 3. Okay, so you are answering my questions. You can turn it back on now. On the count of 3, turn the EMF meter back on. 1, 2, 3. Did you just drain the battery on my EMF meter? Are you going to turn my EMF meter back on? Please? Oh.
I have never seen one of them do anything like that before.
What do you think?
That was really weird.
You turned it off.
But they redeemed themselves when they walked up to the Circle of Stones at midnight. That's later on in the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, in between them going up and doing that and all the, just darkness falling, we heard a lot of noises around the camp again. And we had Jeff's dog up there, and that dog was looking at something out in the woods for about 20 minutes and hardly even moved a muscle. It was really keyed in on something that had him alarmed.
Yeah, that was the thing. I mean, we're hearing while they're looking at the EMF meter, checking that out. The dog was keyed in on something in the woods, but also, hearing out in the background, the movement was actually closer this time, even with all of us there. They were closer. They were closer to us than they were the previous night. But I don't know, they're getting bolder, I guess. It's kind of funny, or more curious. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, one night there's just 2 people there. Now the next night there's 5. This is a trend. A trend maybe they're not too in favor of.
Which was also kind of wondering, if like they're going to challenge us or something.
Yeah. Well, I ended up not making it very long. I was hurting pretty bad, so I think around 1 o'clock or so I went and crawled in my tent and tried to go to sleep. And then, what time did you guys go to sleep? Around 2?
Yeah, I think we stayed about another hour, and we're just swapping stories around the talking lowly, kind of low. But we're still listening to movement in the brush around us, And eventually we finally, we get ready to go to bed. I'm sleeping in the back of the truck in a canopy, after the first night.
And you're the only one that is. Everybody else is in a tent. There's 4 tents there and you sleeping in a truck.
I'm sleeping in the truck. I thought that would be smart, but no, I'm sleeping in a big fish bowl, and that was kind of freaky. I shut my eyes, and what else is going to be looking in at me? But after a while, you just get too tired. You just say, okay, I'm just going to fall asleep. But the worst part is having to wake up and then climb out of the truck as quiet as you can and go do your business. So anyway, I think it had to have been around 4 o'clock in the morning. So I hear the call of nature, and I say, okay, I'm going to get out as quiet as I can, and I climb out, lift the back lid up, and climb out over the tailgate, pause for a little bit, and I hear some movement in the brush that was to the south of us. I hear it, and then it stops, and then I just walk out to the front of the truck and take care of business and wait, and I hear some more movement over in that direction. And I slowly walk back towards the back of the truck, and then I stand there and look, and because the wind had cleared out a lot of the smoke, and we had half moon full of light there, and I could see distinctly, shadows and trees and so forth like that. But the freaky thing was, I hear movement again, and then I see a shadow move out in between two trees, and where some brush are, but it's clearly taller than the brush, and that brush, it wasn't that tall before. The bushes, yeah. So, kind of.
And again, this is over on that same wooded hillside where we've been hearing movement and getting activity both times I was up there.
Yeah, off to the south there. I think it was south anyway.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about it is seeing the shape that wasn't there when I got out of the truck to begin with, okay, and hearing the movement going into that same position and then seeing the shape there. So I get my flashlight out and I start over to the side and slowly click it on, slowly sweep it across that area, and sure enough, and I keep the light moving.
Right.
And thank God I didn't see eye shine. I probably would have crapped my pants then. But yeah. But sure enough, I see the shoulders kind of at a 45-degree angle, shoulders in the back of the head, and it's brown to black, and it's definitely not green. It's just there, so I'm pretending I'm a bush, I'm a tree, but just is still
yeah,
is to me.
He's smart enough to be turned away from you so he won't get any reflection from the eye shine in the flashlight for you to see him.
Yeah, and I keep the flashlight going. I keep going further. I'm not hearing any. I pause and I don't hear any movement. Then I move the flashlight back over again. Same shape there, but then I'm also making note. The thing was I didn't see any ears. It had to have been hair covering.
Right.
Back of the head or whatever. But sure enough.
But if it was a bear standing up on its hind legs, you would have seen ears probably.
Well, yeah, and for that length of time, I don't think a bear would have stood that still on its hind legs. That'd be just It would have been
flopped back down and took off. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is I kind of paused as I came back again, then kept the flashlight moving again, and then went back a third time over it, and then I'm thinking, oh crap, what's going to happen? I got to turn this flashlight off, Well, I turned it off, and that's the freaky thing, you lose your night vision.
Yeah. For a few seconds, you're like, okay, I can't see a damn thing. What did I just do?
Yeah, I didn't even try to keep one eye shut, and I don't even know if that would have worked anyway. But the whole thing is after turning the flashlight off, then hearing the movement continue on, it didn't turn back. It just went on and then went back further into the brush, which was Yeah, that was really freaky. I didn't waste any time getting back in the canopy. That's for sure.
Well, we should let everybody know even though you hadn't been on a Bigfoot expedition before, you have Bigfoot activity around your house. And you've actually seen one before, so you even know what they look like.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. And as near as I could tell, the next morning we go out there. It wasn't nearly as tall as the others the other one that we had seen around the house. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, over in that little area, depending on where it was standing, I couldn't tell as far as the depth perception. That was the other thing. Ground was too hard.
Yeah, it's hard to do. Well, and the whole hill is sloped, and and at night, if he's standing closer to you, he's taller, and maybe you think he's further away and he's shorter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had no idea, but as far as prints that we saw close to the camp, they were smaller. They weren't like huge. So I was just thinking maybe it was like juveniles coming in just to do the look-see, or
that would have been my guess too.
Call it. Yeah.
Yep. Counting coup. Well, and to keep let everybody else know here at the you may have actually already seen it at this point, or where they go there. Take their Doomsday March up to the Standing Stones at exactly midnight. They had to go down the trail that goes right around that area that you're talking about. That's wooded hillside with like 6 or 7 collapsed log cabins and debris all over it. So really difficult to get through. Tons of places you could hide. And they were hearing things in there too, and they were walking past it, and while they were up on the hill. So, I'm sure we had the local Squatchlets all kind of interested in what we were up to and what we were doing there.
Oh, no kidding. The neighborhood Squatch kids were having fun playing with us.
Mm-hmm. What are these crazy humans doing here? Everybody's scared of this ghost town. They never camp here. And you know what? One of the things that tells me that nobody camps there is if you all go back and look at the original Coloma video that I did 3 years ago, you'll see where I do a pan around in a circle from where our camp is, and I show everything in every direction. And there's a dilapidated building across the street from us that's got a whole bunch of fallen timber and branches and stuff. And, most of the area had that lying all over the place. Well, here it's been 3 years later. There's plenty of camping spots. There's even fire pits there. None of that wood has been burned up.
Oh, none
of it. That tells me nobody is staying overnight up there, because you've got just mounds of perfectly dry firewood laying all over the place within range of at least 3 fire pits, and nobody's using any of it.
Yeah, and if they are, I have no idea, they're braver souls than the rest of average people, I guess.
I'm surprised nobody's just grabbed all the free firewood that's laying on the ground up there, to be honest with you. It's kind of like, what? Doesn't anybody burn wood around here? Because this has been laying here aging for like 3 years. It should work really good now.
Oh.
Lordy Lord.
Crazy.
Well, apparently, according to the audio casters that Jeff got over at his tent, and him and Creature had their tents really close to each other over there. They had all kinds of activity over by their tents pretty much all night long. And there was sort of a break between right around 4 and 4:20 or 4:30, I think. Mm-hmm. So it'd be interesting if that's about the time you got up and went to the bathroom. All of a sudden they went, "Whoa, one of them's awake," and they sort of took a powder until they were sure you were back in the truck again.
Maybe, because it was funny. Getting up, that was the only movement I heard was closest to me. I didn't hear anything off in the direction where Jeff and Travis were camped. So who knows?
Yeah, we were a bit far from them, though. I mean, if there's anything sneaking around over there, we probably wouldn't have heard it. We were
I didn't hear
half a football field from them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just glad the truck didn't shake on me or anything like that.
Well, last time I was there, after it got done buffeting my tent all over the place, and Researcher X finally set off the car alarm and ran right past the SUV and slapped the side of it, just to give her a little bit too. So That one was a little bit more tense than this one was, let's just say. But we had just no shortage of activity up there, man. They were all kinds of interested in what we were doing, and we were finding structures and tracks, and the only thing we didn't find pretty much was hair.
Yeah, that was not seeing any other tracks like for bear or anything like that. That was as far as over by the berry bushes. I didn't get over there. Did Jeff or Travis find any bear tracks over in the berry patch?
No, they didn't say anything about finding any bear tracks over there. And the last time we were up there, we didn't find any either. We did find some deer and elk tracks, which, we found elk poop when we were up there this time, too.
Yeah.
And, of course, the local ranchman lets his cattle graze all over the place up there, so you find cow tracks and cow patties and stuff. But you don't see any evidence of there being any bears or mountain lions or anything like that up there at all.
Yeah, that was a funny thing, I thought.
Well, that generally is a funny thing unless you know Bigfoot are living in the area, and then you got a real good reason why the bear and the mountain lions aren't around there.
Yeah, the bear and the mountain lion have a good idea not to be there either. So.
Mm-hmm. Now they got a lot better sense of smell and other senses than we do, and if they sense those things are around there, they're not going to go there. Because bears, especially, there's been multiple reports of Bigfoot killing and eating bears. And a mountain lion, they might just see as a nuisance that they don't want in their area and squash them too. So they have good reasons to not go into those areas, let's just say.
But it was a really good weekend. It really was. I mean, we definitely want to be going out and doing it again, Duke. I really do. So.
All right, brother. Well, I'm looking forward to it because you're pretty steady when there's weird stuff going on. You don't panic easy, and that's the kind of people you want to bring with on these kind of expeditions.
Yeah, it's one of those things, If you're scared, say you're scared, But
yep.
I don't know. I'm not scared.
And if you're not scared, just admit you're crazy.
Crazy. Or just say you're stupid. I'm just stupid.
That's the one I usually pick. It's either 2 or 3. It's either, I'm just crazy. That's why I'm not scared. The funny thing was, you probably heard me a couple times during the night when Jeff and Travis were hearing noises. What's that over there? And I'd be like, oh, calm down. It's probably just Bigfoot. and then I'd realize that sounded like really ludicrous, and I probably shouldn't say that because actually I'm thinking about the potential of it being the little people or a mountain giant. To me it's like, oh, it's only Bigfoot. Okay, don't worry about it. But the next day we did discover that there was a small entrance to the collapsed mine that was like right on the hillside, maybe 60, 70 feet from where our camp was. And it was big enough for a little person to walk in and out without bumping their head. So that was kind of creepy too.
That's the creepy thing, as far as all the mine entrances. That was the second one I saw. Those mine entrances, they could be anywhere into those bushes up there too.
Yeah. Well, they've been sitting there 100 years, so you can imagine how overgrown the areas where they were at. And where, like that one didn't look like it was actually even meant to be an entrance, like part of the building had collapsed and knocked open part of an entrance to it.
Yeah. So thank you for that, because I didn't really know too much about the little people until I came on that trip. So
well, fortunately they didn't seem to have any interest in us, and they were just letting the Squatches harass us.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, if the little people and the Squatch avoid each other. I don't know. But we definitely had Squatch activity up there.
Yeah, plenty of it. Found plenty of tracks, and you even got to see one. Everybody else just got to hear them and find tracks.
Yeah, big brown and black thing out between two trees, trying to pretend it's a bush or a tree. That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
it's funny to laugh at. It's funny to laugh at it now, but it was kind of freaky to see it first time, So, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and they just freeze
away.
up, and they do that. I'm a bush, or I'm a tree, or I'm a stump, or whatever.
Yeah.
I caught that one pretending to be a stump about 60 feet away, right just before sundown. And he almost had me convinced until he started glaring at me, and then he blew it. But I played along anyway and went, okay, you're a stump. You're a pissed-off-looking stump. I'm going to keep walking.
Yeah, that's the other thing, having time to think about it, afterwards. I didn't keep the flashlight on it because I didn't want to think I'd outed it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like that's something that'll actually rile them up. If you bust them, like, pretending to be something and you catch them doing it, they get mad about that. So it's better to just pretend that you didn't notice.
Yeah, and it was stock still. It wasn't even swaying,
Yeah.
No movement whatsoever. It was just a hairy bush standing out between two trees.
Well, that's it. If you hadn't had a good flashlight to be able to differentiate that there was hair on it and it was the wrong color, like if you had one of those little 1970s flashlights or something, that would have worked flawlessly.
Yeah. But nope, I had a mini version of a searchlight, so.
Yeah. He had one of those miniature sun things. One of those LEDs. Laser emitting death ray.
That's it, the laser emitting death ray.
All righty. Well, thanks for coming along to the Coloma expedition. Really appreciated you being there and for all the help you gave with everything along the way. And it was really fun to have you there, and looking forward to doing some more squatching with you in the future. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Duke, because I really appreciated the opportunity to go. Thanks for taking me along, man. So, all right, bro. Okay, well, thanks for being on the show.